My parents handed my sister the keys to my new sedan. They didn't know I'd signed it away legally. The meatloaf sits untouched on my plate as Mom circles the dining table, topping off sweet tea glasses with practiced precision. Sunday dinner at the Kumar household unfolds with its usual choreography, crystal stemware catching light from the brass chandelier, the wedding china gleaming against the mahogany table that's witnessed 3 decades of family tensions disguised as togetherness. Dad checks his Rolex. Kavya should be here by now. You know your sister, Mom says, her eyes flicking toward me, always running on her own schedule. I nod, not trusting my voice. Every Sunday since my promotion at Morrison Financial, I've shown up for these dinners, hoping something might change, that my parents might finally see me, really see me, without comparing me to their perfect younger daughter. The front door swings open, followed by the familiar click of heels on hardwood. Kavya sweeps in, wind-blown and laughing, her entire body projecting the carefree confidence that comes from never facing consequences. Sorry I'm late. She tosses her designer purse onto the sideboard, narrowly missing Mom's prized Waterford crystal bowl. My stomach tightens when I notice what dangles from her finger, a key ring with a distinctive navy leather tag. My key ring. To my car. Dad beams. Did the interview at Henderson and Associates go well? Seems to. Kavya drops into her chair. The partner said I had excellent qualifications. Of course you did, Mom says, serving her a generous portion. We're just glad you had reliable transportation today. The room tilts slightly. I set down my fork with deliberate care, the sterling silver making a soft clink against bone china. Did you take my car without asking me? My voice emerges low and measured, each word carefully placed. Kavya rolls her eyes, twirling the keys before tossing them beside her water glass. Oh please. It's just sitting in your garage most days anyway. That's not an answer. Dad's face hardens. Family helps family, Priya. Kavya needed to make a good impression today. My mind flashes to this morning, reaching for my spare keys on the hook by the door, finding the peg empty. I'd assumed I'd misplaced them, never imagining someone would simply take them. You could have asked, I say. Mom's smile tightens. Honestly, darling, it's not as if you were using it. The familiar dismissal stings, but this time, beneath the sting lies something darker, a slow-burning fury I rarely allow myself to feel. 3 months ago, I stood in a boardroom wearing my best charcoal suit, presenting the culmination of 18 months of work. 8 executives in similar suits stared back, skepticism gradually giving way to grudging respect as I walked them through the Morrison Industries acquisition proposal. When the final signature hit the contract, $4.2 million, I knew exactly what I would do with my commission. The dealership had called it midnight blue, though under certain light it seemed almost black, with leather seats that smelled like possibility. The salesman seemed surprised when I paid the down payment without hesitation, without a husband or father beside me to approve the purchase. First thing I've ever owned that wasn't used or discounted, I told my best friend Rachel over celebratory drinks, showing her pictures of my new BMW sedan. I earned every inch of it. Now Kavya studies her nails, oblivious to what she's taken. Not just a car, the physical proof that I've finally escaped the shadow of family expectations. I've been meaning to ask, Kavya says, cutting into her meat, could I borrow it again next weekend? There's this networking event in Boulder, and... No. The word emerges before I can soften it. Mom's fork pauses midway to her mouth. Priya, don't be selfish. There it is, the familiar pattern. Kavya takes. I sacrifice. My parents referee, always ruling in her favor. You have your own car, I say. That old Civic? Come on, I'm trying to make connections here. Dad sets down his napkin. Your sister is trying to get her career started. The least you could do is help. My career started with student loans and 2 jobs, without family connections or borrowed luxury, but saying so would only label me bitter, jealous of my sister's effortless charm. By the way, Kavya adds, spearing a green bean, some idiot in a parking lot scratched the passenger door. Nothing major. My phone buzzes in my pocket. Then again. And again. I slip out my phone, breaking Mom's no phones at dinner rule, and feel my blood freeze. 6 notifications from colleagues. All variations of the same message, beautiful car. When did your parents buy it? I open Instagram and there it is, Kavya posed beside my midnight blue BMW, manicured hands splayed across the hood, her smile wide and proud. The caption reads, "Thanks Mom and Dad for the amazing gift. Hashtag blessed, hashtag new car, hashtag family support." 23 likes. 4 comments from mutual friends. Posted 2 hours ago. I set my phone on the table, screen up, so they can all see it. The room goes still. "We need to talk about boundaries," I say, my voice steady despite the rage building behind my ribs. "The time for sacrifice has ended." Dad waves his hand dismissively at my phone screen. "It's just a social media post, Priya. Don't be so sensitive. She just wants to feel successful like her big sister." Mom chimes in, dabbing her napkin at the corner of her mouth. "Is that so terrible?" I look at Kavya, waiting. Her shoulders rise and fall in a practiced shrug. "I'll delete it if it's that big a deal," she says, not meeting my eyes. "But everyone already saw it, so what's the point?" The casualness in her voice makes my skin burn. I take a slow breath, keeping my tone even. "Show me the scratch." "What?" "On my car. The scratch you mentioned. I want to see it." 2 minutes later, we stand in the driveway. The scratch isn't just a scratch, it's a foot-long scrape with traces of red paint embedded in the midnight blue surface. Not from a parking lot. From a fire hydrant. "You sideswiped a fire hydrant." The words taste like metal in my mouth. "Were you texting while driving?" Kavya's eyes dart toward the house where our parents wait. "Does it matter? Insurance will cover it." "My insurance. My premiums." Back inside, I scroll through my phone, heart pounding harder with each swipe. Not just one post. 5. Spanning 2 weeks. Kavya at a restaurant valet stand. Kavya at the country club. Kavya showing off her new car, to friends outside an upscale bar. My mind flashes back to high school, me at 17, opening the thin envelope from Northwestern. Full academic scholarship. Mom glancing up briefly from preparing Kavya's sweet 16 party. "That's nice, honey. Can you hang these streamers?" 2 hours later, Dad rolling into the driveway with a red Mustang. Keys dangling. "Happy birthday, princess." Kavya squealing while I taped decorations for a party I wasn't invited to join. College years spent working the campus bookstore mornings, waiting tables nights. Parents' contribution, $600 per semester for books. Meanwhile, Kavya cycling through 3 different universities, fully funded, before dropping out completely. "College isn't for everyone," Mom said, patting Kavya's hand. My sweaters disappearing from my closet. My jewelry borrowed, never returned. My first apartment's spare key suddenly missing after Kavya stopped by to see the place. The pattern stretches back through decades, visible now with painful clarity. I place my phone face up on the table and stand. The dining room falls silent as I rise to my full height, suddenly aware of how I tower over my seated family. "This car," I say, my voice quieter than I expect, "represents the first major purchase I made for myself, with money I earned, from a job I've worked 80-hour weeks to excel at." Mom's eyes fill with tears. Dad's jaw clenches. "I paid for my college. I paid for my apartment. I paid for every single thing I own." Each sentence lands like a footstep, advancing slowly across unstable ground. After the Morrison contract closed, I chose that car because for once, I wanted something that wasn't secondhand, something that represented what I'd accomplished without anyone's help. Kavya examines her nails, but I catch the flicker of resentment in her eyes. "And you took it without asking, then lied about who bought it." Monday morning, I stride toward my corner office at Morrison Financial, coffee in hand, briefcase containing the proposal I spent half the night perfecting. "Priya." My colleague Janet waves from the break room. "That car your parents got for your sister is gorgeous. My husband's been looking at the same model." My smile freezes in place. "Thanks." By the time I reach my office, I've fielded 4 more comments. Each one stokes the ember of rage burning in my chest. At precisely 10 o'clock, I sit across from Howard Crawford, CFO of Morrison Financial. I've spent 3 years earning his respect through consistent results and fiscal responsibility. Today, I'll leverage that capital. I slide the folder across his desk. Before we discuss the quarterly numbers, I'd like to propose a solution to our client transportation costs. His eyebrows rise slightly, but he opens the folder. I've laid out the numbers with precise clarity: current mileage reimbursement costs for directors, maintenance costs for company-owned vehicles, tax benefits of asset depreciation, client impression value metrics. You're suggesting we add a dedicated executive vehicle? Crawford flips through the pages, his expression thoughtful. For client meetings and corporate events. I keep my voice steady, professional. We currently spend an average of $1,800 monthly on reimbursements for the sales team alone. A dedicated vehicle would reduce that by 30%, while providing consistent branding opportunities. He studies the final page, a photograph of my midnight blue BMW with a mock-up of the company logo subtly positioned on the door. And you happen to know of an available vehicle that meets our specifications? I do. I meet his gaze directly. Mine. Crawford leans back, a smile tugging at his mouth. I wondered when you'd make this kind of move, Priya. Sir. You've always been strategic. This, he taps the folder. This actually saves us money in the long run. Smart. Very smart. 2 hours later, I walk out of the legal department with preliminary paperwork in hand. My car will become company property by week's end, fair price, full tax advantages, and most importantly, complete removal from my family's reach. Sunday arrives with crystalline clarity. I pull into my parents' driveway in my old Honda CR-V, the vehicle feeling comfortably familiar after driving it again. When I push open the front door, 3 heads swivel in unison. Kavya stands in the entryway, her expression shifting from boredom to confusion. Where's the blue car? I hang my jacket in the closet. I drove my old car today. The aroma of roast chicken fills the house, the same Sunday menu we've had since I was a child. I take my usual seat, feeling strangely serene. After grace, as Mom serves dinner with mechanical precision, Dad clears his throat. We've been thinking about your situation, dear, Mom says, carefully arranging her napkin. Dad sets down his fork, his voice dropping into what I've always called his boardroom tone. Kavya needs reliable transportation for her job search. Every impression counts, Kavya adds, her voice softening into practiced vulnerability. They've rehearsed this. I recognize the choreography, Mom opening with concern, Dad delivering the verdict, Kavya following with her strategic helplessness. We thought perhaps you could add Kavya to your insurance, Mom continues, just for when the car is sitting there anyway. I continue eating quietly, surprising myself with my appetite. The chicken is perfect tonight, tender and flavorful. When dessert is served, apple pie with vanilla ice cream, they're still waiting for my answer. The silence stretches between us. That won't be possible, I say finally, taking another bite of pie. Mom sets down the coffee pot. What do you mean? I dab my mouth with my napkin. I don't own that car anymore. The words fall into absolute silence. You sold your new car already? Dad's voice rises with triumph, as if my actions prove everything he's ever thought about me. I shake my head once, calmly. I transferred it to my company. It's a corporate asset now. 6 months later, morning sun catches the edge of my new senior vice president nameplate as I arrange framed photos on my desk. Through my office window, I spot the midnight blue BMW in the company parking lot, now emblazoned with Morrison Financial's logo and featured prominently in our annual report. Still admiring your handiwork? My assistant pokes her head in, gesturing toward the bulletin board where my promotion announcement hangs. I nod, running my finger along the silver frame holding a photo of me beside the car, surrounded by clients after closing the Henderson Industries deal. Just thinking about distance traveled. Later, steam rises between Rachel and me at our weekly coffee meetup. She stirs her cappuccino carefully. So, your mom texted again? Just checking in. No guilt trips this time. I sip from my mug, no longer bracing for tension. Baby steps. And your dad? Radio silence mostly, but he signed the Christmas card himself instead of letting Mom handle it. Progress, I guess. Rachel squeezes my hand. Small victories. Janet told me Kavya finally stuck with a job past the 90-day mark at that marketing firm downtown. The words emerge without their usual bitter aftertaste. Good for her, Rachel says, watching my face for signs of the old hurt. I shrug. Mom asked if we could have dinner, just the two of us. I'm considering it. That evening brings warmth and laughter to my apartment as colleagues gather around my dining table. Crystal glasses clink against china plates I bought myself last month. No heirlooms, no history, just mine. To the new client portfolio, Janet raises her glass. And to Priya, who somehow convinced that old-school CFO to invest in innovation. When someone asks about my family, I find myself answering honestly. We're finding new ways to connect, on my terms this time. The following Tuesday, my junior associate hovers in my doorway, her expression mirroring my younger self. They're saying I don't have enough experience for the Phoenix presentation. I motion her inside. Close the door. But I developed the entire proposal, she says, voice strained. Your achievements belong to you, I tell her, remembering every stolen credit, every dismissed accomplishment. Never apologize for that. Sunset paints Denver's skyline orange and gold as I drive the company car toward the Westfield meeting. In the rearview mirror, I catch glimpses of who I was 6 months ago, hunched shoulders, careful words, always yielding. The steering wheel feels solid beneath my hands. The leather seats still smell faintly new, despite countless client meetings and company functions. The passenger door gleams flawlessly in the fading light. I slow at a red light, watching pedestrians cross, a woman about my age laughing into her phone, an older man with a briefcase, 2 teenagers sharing earbuds, all of them unaware of how something can break and mend at once. Success isn't what you own, I realize, accelerating as the light changes. It's owning your boundaries. Some prices are too high, even for family. But some lessons? Some lessons are worth every penny.